Welcome to the 13th episode of the Miami Valley Craft Beer Podcast. My name is Blake Longfellow, and today I'm Indian Lake today. I'm at Indian Lake Brewing with some wonderful people. Please introduce and say hello.
Hi, thanks so much for coming. I'm Rebekah Smith, one of the four partners here, and I'm kind of responsible for running the tap room and social media.
And I'm Ron Troyer, one of the other partners. My wife and I run Roundhouse Depot Brewing, but I do a lot of the brewing and stuff here as well.
Oh, I didn't know that part. So that's pretty cool. So I'm kind of doing 2 for 1 here, I guess, huh? So how are you guys doing today?
Doing great. How are you?
Good. You have the garage doors open, and it's a very beautiful day.
I think it's Indian Lake. It's always gorgeous here.
Absolutely.
I have yet to be up here in the winter, so.
It's not as gorgeous in the winter, but.
Yeah, summertime's the time to be up here. It's beautiful up here on the lake.
Yeah. So how do you guys get into craft beer?
I think probably Ron's story, and then ours kind of my husband and I's dovetails off of Ron. So why don't you maybe kick it off with your story, and then I'll pick up from how we got to know you guys.
Okay. I was a home brewer for 11 years. Every home brewer's dream is to own a brewery. It's a pipe dream for most of us. It just never happens. I was lucky enough about 11 years ago now to help open a brewery in Virginia where I was at. Moved back home here to Ohio, and 6 years ago now almost, my wife and I decided that we was going to give it a try here in Ohio and open a brewery. So we opened Roundhouse Depot Brewing in Bell Fountain, and a couple years into that, 3 years or so into that, I started looking at this area up here to add a second location. But we knew we needed to have partners to make that work up here at Indian Lake, because we built something in Bell Fountain that we needed to be a little different up here. In my mind, we'd gotten to know Steve and Rebekah, and they were really our only choice. If they had said no to us, it'd been back to the drawing board, I think, for us at that point. Luckily for us, they accepted our invitation to become our partners up here. And now we have Indian Lake Brewing that Steve and Rebekah pretty much run for us up here.
I'm not sure I love the part that we were their only choice. That feels like they got stuck with us. I have a slightly different version of that story. Both Steve and I are accountants, and we always joke that our biggest decisions in life have been made over beer, including the one in 2016 where he left his job as a CFO and started a company called Draft Financial, which was an accounting firm strictly focused on craft breweries. A nice roster of clients. And we got a lake house at Indian Lake, and then we found Roundhouse, which became our lake brewery, and Ron and Kathy became clients, and then they became friends of ours. And so when they approached us, it's probably coming up on 2.5, 3 years ago, about potentially helping them open the lake as a second location, we said yes to that. And so kind of our love of craft breweries got us into this wonderful mess and situation that we find ourselves in.
So what was your first couple of beers that told you, hey, this is going to be something, hey, I want to recreate this, or was something you brewed that said, hey, I can do this?
Well, I mean, originally for me, back when we opened Roundhouse, we have 2 flagship beers. The main one is a Mango Habanero IPA. It's the beer I made the most as a home brewer, and my brother on multiple occasions is like, you make beer this good, why do you not have a brewery? And the answer to that was simple: money. I have no money, I'm going to open a brewery. But it all just kind of progressed from there. So, the Mango Habanero IPA was my first one there. When we opened up the lake, everything kind of changed a little bit, and we had to look at our demographic up here, the type of people that we were going to have up here, and we wanted to go with more of a lighter, fruitier type of beer.
The difference of the lake versus maybe a Bell Fountain is, I think, twofold. The first is that Bell Fountain kind of has like an established craft beer scene, and there really isn't one. There wasn't one at the lake. Also, people go out all day on their boats, and so they can't drink a 7% IPA all day. And so Ron's exactly right. We kind of had to think about like who is drinking and why are they drinking at the lake, and what do we need to do to meet our customers where they are. And so our menu started off fairly light and pretty fruity. If if Steve had his way, the brewer here, it would be 18 IPAs on tap, getting progressively happier.
I view IPAs as a summer beer. That's when the IPAs really start kicking in for me. But,
so we kind of had to look at that and just be smart about, what did our customers want?
Yeah, and I would have been the same way. Kathy and I are both hop heads. We love our hops too, but just like when we opened Roundhouse, we knew up here we needed a wide variety of beers, not just IPAs. We needed IPAs, but we also needed lighter beers. We needed fruitier beers. We need maltier beers. So we've come up with a very distinct variety of beers up here that fit our population up here, and we continue to evolve with that. We've changed it a number of times over the last year to continue to bring people what they want in beers.
So what was the craft beer scene here before Battlefield in Indian Lake? What was the craft hold here?
Really, there wasn't one, and that's the reason that I started looking up here 3 or 4 years ago. I tried to get on tap up here at a couple local restaurants for multiple years, and I kept getting the same response: nobody drinks craft beer at the lake. We don't need it. I was begging people to just let me put a keg on. Just let's try it. If it doesn't work, fine. We're out nothing. Nobody wanted to do it, and what that did was made my drive stronger to prove them wrong and open a place that we had done. And now there is a craft beer scene here, and all the restaurants are wanting to jump on board as well.
Yeah, for sure. We see a shift in kind of like when we go out and the options that are at the restaurants. I definitely see a lot more craft on a lot of the different restaurants, and we're on tap in a couple restaurants here too. So I do think there was very much an underserved market in terms of the craft brewery scene.
Because I'm from Miami County, so what you're talking about is exactly what Miami County is going through right now. I mean, we have more, and Crooked Hill just opened up, but there wasn't really anything. It was more the bars carrying it, so. But when I was looking on Ohio on Tap today, you guys have like 4 now in this area now, so it has to be picking up.
It is, and we're very much a rising tide lifts all boats type of mentality, so we very much are excited about the additional craft beer that's coming to Logan County. I mean, we're basically number 1 and number 2 in Logan County, and so to see a few more popping up nearby, like Marysville's craft beer scene is killer right now.
Yeah.
So it's exciting to see that and to start to get some critical mass.
Which sometimes you kind of forget about Marysville altogether until you start looking at.
Don't overlook Marysville, man.
I'm just
not now.
Just like where I'm from,
Yeah.
I try to get all over, and it's hard to get all over. I mean, if you just look on an Ohio on-tap map, you could tell, there's so much in Ohio.
No, there is. And the Iowa on Tap has been a great thing. It's been great for us here and at Roundhouse. I mean, it really drives people to our businesses.
Like, people probably get annoyed when I talk about that all the time, but it just is such a good tool. I love it.
It is.
So I've had a long day at work. It's time for a beer.
Right,
absolutely, let's do it.
So which one you want to start with?
Well, let's see. We picked out the 4 that I picked out for you is our Scarlet. It's called Scarlet. It's our Irish Red Ale. A brand new beer that's not even technically out yet, called Harbor Bridge, to celebrate our historic Harbor Bridge, which is a single hop Centennial Pale Ale, our Indian Lake Strong, and our Coffee Blend. So you tell me which one you want to start with. I personally think there's no wrong order in which to drink beer.
Absolutely not.
I guess I'll start with the coffee one.
Yep.
Yep,
that one's called Loco for the Lake, and we won in our first year best place to have beer in Logan County. So that means we beat out all of the other bars, and we beat out our business partner, but we were the finalists. The 2 of us were in the final, so it's pretty cool. And we made this beer with coffee from the Gathering Grounds coffee shop down the road, who also won best place to have a coffee in Logan County, and then we served it at the 2 other best breakfast and best place to hear music and best patio at Cranberry. So it became this collaboration beer called Loco for the Lake, and it's a blonde that uses I think Scottish grog beans.
Oh no, I like it. I like it a lot.
The nose is awesome.
Yes, this would be a perfect morning beer.
Absolutely.
I like how you think. I like how you roll.
I've always said you can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning, and that's a great beer to do it. I love the flavor profile of that beer.
Like if you were going to the lake, that would be perfect to drink on the lake.
With some donuts from the donut shop. I mean, like, let me put together your perfect morning for you. We'll take the Pontoon, we'll take a little sunrise cruise, we'll take some Loco for the lake, and we'll pick up some maybe chocolate donuts from the donut shop. What do we think?
Oh yeah.
There we
Chocolate.
go.
Yeah.
There we go.
So how long have you had this one on? And I'm assuming it probably does very well.
This one it flies for us. We had originally won the Best of Logan County. I think that came out back in like March. And so we did a batch of it, and I think we sold through that batch in about 2 weeks, which is just super fast for us. And then we had people who were like, when's it coming back? When's it coming back? So we brought it back a couple times, including most recently for the Eclipse, and I think it's one that's going to probably make its way to a permanent tap handle for us. It's a real flagship.
So when you guys opened the doors in 2021, right?
2023. We're a baby. We're just over a year.
Just over a year. January was 1 year.
Okay. So what was that opening day like?
So, I mean, we had a lot of hype leading up to it. We're in a pretty visible spot, right? So we had a coming soon, and people were watching the construction. We had a couple of like preview parties for our Mug Club members that had some good traction. But I think the coolest thing was like the day of the first opening, we had a line out the front door. And I actually wasn't here for the cracking open the doors because I have a real job. And when I came over, like a half hour after opening, like it was shoulder to shoulder, standing room only. And so I think for us, we sort of had hoped that we would get support from the community, that people would be excited. I was personally just really overwhelmed by how the community showed up for us and continued to show up for us over the last year and a half, just kind of supporting us in all of the different ways.
I think it's always a good warm feeling when you have your own brewery open up in your area where you don't have to go far, and when the beers are good like this, it's a lot easier to go to, and I see you guys always do events all the time, so between food trucks and stuff like that.
Yeah, we do have rotating food trucks that come in the off season. It's like once a weekend, and in the summer it's Friday, Saturday, sometimes Sunday. Our pup brunches are super popular. We're very dog friendly, like all year round, inside, outside. We're pretty family friendly, so our pup brunches, our first one is like they're like the fourth Sunday of each month, where we like have special treats for dogs, and dog vendors come in. Those are kind of a big deal. And then we just this community is kind of like an entertainment community, so everybody's got live music and events and stuff like that. So we just joined right in, and it's been really fun.
So when you first opened, what was some of your first beers? Were you worried how some would do versus others, or you knew some, hey, they were probably gonna be okay? Or?
I mean, I think we were absolutely concerned, right? Like, you want your business to be successful, and we kind of put together like the best lineup that we could because of the fact that we are sister breweries. Ron did a lot of the heavy lifting, getting us sort of beers so that when we open up with 18 taps, and that's really unusual to have all 18 taps full. So we're very lucky. I tell people all the time, we're a year and a half old brewery that has 5 years of experience behind us, and that's the beauty of the partnership with Roundhouse, is that Ron had beers that were ready to go to help us launch it. But yeah, some were better received than others. Some people were like, this is a terrible beer, and we taught them the phrase, "This isn't for me." You know that phrase, right?
Yeah.
It's not a terrible beer. You just don't. It's just not for you.
Yeah, right.
And so we have lots of people who do, "This beer's not for me." I'm like, good job. But I think overall it was more positive than we could have ever imagined.
That's awesome to hear, because a couple years or several years ago, some breweries opened up, and you went there for the first time and they weren't quite right yet, so you gave them like a 6 months later, and it's fine. And it's like nowadays you kind of have to start flying right when you open, because there's so much great competition out there. It's just hard to. It's like people don't give people a chance anymore.
It really is definitely much more competitive to market in that aspect. So it did help that I did have that experience and had beers to go, and we still had to learn our system. We put a completely different system down here, and then I taught Steve, her husband, the partner, to brew here, and it was a learning curve for him to learn to brew here and me to learn on a different system because it's a little bit smaller system. And
just
we've
get it dialed in too.
Yeah, we've continued even to this day. We're still dialing it in a little bit. But the first 6-8 months was a big learning curve, and some beers didn't make it, and we learned what we needed to do differently here as opposed to what I'm used to. So I think a year plus in, we are definitely much better off than we were then. Even though the beers did start out good and we got a lot of great compliments, in our minds, we still had some tweaking to do. We had to get them to where we want them, and we're getting to that point now. I mean, Steve makes some really good beers up here.
Yeah, I'm really proud of the product we're putting out right now.
Absolutely.
I'm thrilled with it. And I think we're seeing a difference. There was a time period where people would be like, I don't think I like this beer. We get it. There's that curve with people, right, as they figure out what one of your beers be like. I think now the comments are just overwhelmingly positive, and so it's kind of cool to see that progression.
Yeah.
Was there that one beer that surprised you how well it did the moment you put it on? Or
Yeah. Most recently, the beer, we made this just a plain blonde for our 1-year anniversary, and people lost their minds for it. Like, we're craft beer people. Like, a plain blonde, really? Okay, whatever. People lost their minds, and then we remade it and renamed it Lake Effect after the tornado. And it was Lake Effect to us is the grit, determination, and resilience of the people at the lake to bounce back stronger. And we sold through Lake Effect in 1 weekend, and that is like unheard of. Like, we just sold a tremendous volume of beer in 1 weekend, and I think some of that was it was a cherry beer, but some of that was people really just love this plain blonde. So we brewed it again, and it's coming out I think in a week or two.
So talk to me about that April day, and
yeah,
like I remember watching on the news, I was like, oh my god,
yeah,
because Brian Davis is my favorite person to watch for weather and how he was at sounding. I was like, oh my god, I was praying that all you guys were okay. And
so that was actually the middle of March. It feels like it was just yesterday. We were actually open because it was a Thursday, and we had customers in here. We should eat another beer before I tell you this story. We should hit pause. Well, what do you want to do next now?
Okay, let's just go down the line.
Next to the Indian Lake Strong. That's perfect. So
that is, yeah.
It's perfect. So Indian Lake Strong is a strong ale that we made. Steve has been dying to make a strong ale for a while, and so we thought never more appropriate than now for Indian Lake Strong. That beer is absolutely one of my favorites right now. I dig it. I love the sort of, people ask me what a strong is. I'm like, look, it's strong everything. It's strong hops, strong flavor, strong maltiness. Like, it's a real punch in the face of a beer. I think it's fantastic. We had those more, like, the warnings were kind of coming through that whole evening. People kept saying, we're going to get bad weather. I don't think anybody ever expected it to be what it was. We were open. We had a tap room full of people. When the sirens went off, our bartender and Steve hustled them in the basement, and we do think that we probably took a pretty decent direct hit on the building, especially when you kind of look around us. But it's a 100-year-old building with 3 layers of brick, and we were just incredibly fortunate that we didn't have more damage. I think what's been interesting or tough, or however you want to think about it, is sort of seeing kind of the community and the disruption. We're starting to see a lot of recovery. We're heading into our tourism season right now. We're excited to welcome people back. And there's a lot of rebuilding and rejuvenation happening, and I think that there's a lot of possibility. But, it's going to take some time. We're back fully open and fully, ready for business here, and replaced all of our picnic tables that went off into the who knows where. So it's been kind of a interesting 60 days, but to kind of watch this community come together and support each other and support the businesses has been really something amazing to watch, and it's sort of renewed our commitment to being in this community and making this a better community.
I came from the Troy area, but I remember Memorial Day tornadoes, which is coming up 4 years. I mean, But how like the breweries came together, or how you guys became like a focal point of helping your community, that it shows that breweries are just more than just making beer and stuff like that. They actually care about their community base.
Yeah, 100%. The neighborhood across the street from the brewery was particularly hard hit. And so we opened up, and basically we had people who just came in, they needed a restroom, they needed to get like out of working, we had water. Honestly, I sat at this table we're sitting at and just talked to some people for a half hour or so who just needed to sort of step away from their, devastated home. And we kind of just became this place where people came into to kind of like get in out of kind of the mess that was out there. So that was nice to be able to do something small. I'll tell you the other thing that was awesome was the number of breweries that reached out to us who wanted to help in some way. Our like grain guy, our hops guys, our grain guys, like all of our partners reached out and were like, what can we do? How can we help? Bringing donations and supplies and all that. I think it's a true testament to like how awesome the whole craft beer world is, that everybody was like, how can we lift you up and support you?
That just shows you another thing about craft breweries is how it always seems like they're always willing to help people and stuff like that, and it's just I'm assuming it's just an amazing place to be in. And
oh, absolutely. I mean, I've always said this is an industry like no other industry that I've ever been in or known, where there really is not any direct competition. I can call any other brewery around here, ask them questions, ask them for advice, ask them anything, and they're going to help me, whether I've met them before or not. And I learned that from day one when I was beginning to open a brewery, and I would go around to just talk to people, say, hey, I'm getting ready to open a brewery, trying to buy a system, don't know what to buy. Hey, come back here. I mean, immediately I was in the back room looking around. And that has continued over my last 6 years in this industry. Everybody is out to help everybody. It's not a dog-eat-dog world like it is in most other industries. Everybody is willing to help everybody. And that time frame here at Indian Lake, they really came out for us amazing.
It's cool.
So what type of systems do you said there are two different ones, so what's the difference?
Three.
We kind of have three. We've at Roundhouse, we've got a 3.5 barrel system, which is about 110 gallons, and I've got 3 7-barrel fermenters so that I can double batch. So I would do double batches of our 3 most popular beers, which are actually all 3 on tap here. Lake Life being the one, and then Natty and Schaffner. So that's the main system. We also at our place have a 1-barrel system, which we do all of our test batches. My wife and our assistant brewer brew every week on our 1-barrel test batch system new beers, something that we want to try. I always joke that I got into home brewing because I like to experiment and have fun. Now I have to brew the same old boring beers all the time, and my wife and assistant brewer get to have fun and brew all the test batches. So, but it's good. It's nice having that test batch. When we opened up here, we bought a 2-barrel system, so somewhere in between those two.
We're in the basement. It's really a little bit of a size restriction issue too.
Yeah, and the process of carrying big systems downstairs. So 2-barrel was what we were going to have to do here. It has been perfect. Steve has learned to brew on that, and that strong you're drinking now is evidence to Steve's brewing ability here. I mean, he's learned.
I picked all Lake brewed beers.
You should have.
Yeah, you're drinking all ones that are brewed here.
Yes, and along that, the majority of the beers are brewed here. I brew 2 of the beers for the lake because I have a bigger system, and they're the ones that we need more quantity of.
They're high velocity beers. And
then I also brew the 2 that are Roundhouse beers that are on tap. Everything else is brewed here for the lake, and only served here at the lake. Occasionally we'll throw something on a Roundhouse, but we wanted that definition that people know this is a lake beer, it's brewed here. Steve brews it down in the basement. So it is a difference in the systems, but Steve has really perfected brewing on the 2-barrel system down there.
Yeah, we didn't want it to just be like the same beers,
Right.
We wanted people to be motivated to go back and forth to the places to get, we don't have like generally a spicy beer on tap. People always come here and they're like, why can't you have a spicy beer like Ron's? And I was like, well, then go see Ron,
So yeah, I mean, a lot of the beers originally were adapted after ones that I've done, but we changed them for a reason because we wanted them to be Indian Lake specific. Mm-hmm. And now they are progressing and they are Indian Lake specific beers, and people are coming in here because of the Indian Lake beers.
Is there like certain beers that do better in Bell Fountain than they do here, or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I think part of the reason that at Bell Fountain, like she talked about earlier, we've got a existing craft beer scene that we had. So we had the craft beer drinkers that drank the higher IPAs, the stouts, and the darker and heavier beers. Up here, we wanted to try to portray to the individuals that maybe weren't craft beer drinkers, but now they are. So we started out with some much lighter beers. I think one of our most popular beers up here is Lake Life, which is a 3.5% to 4% light lager that we almost can't make enough of in the summer.
But then you've sort of taken, I think we've learned from each other. So, I think this has been a little, like at first it was obviously a one-way street, but you've seen the success of Lake Life, and then Ron and Kathy have one that now is like one of their hot sells that sort of mimics Lake Life.
Yes.
So I think we've taken notes from each other as we've all, as we've kind of been able to exchange those ideas.
Are there still some beers you want to try that you haven't done yet?
Oh, there's always beers you want to, and that's the reason we had that test batch system that I mentioned, is because that's how we find out ideas. We go out and we do R&D. We go to breweries all over the state whenever we can go. Both of us, we all do that. That's what they've done for forever. And I started doing that. That's where you get your ideas, and you come back like, oh man, we got to give this one a try. We try it on the test batch system. We see how it goes. If it goes well, then we brew it here or brew it at our place. Always a new beer that we want to try.
Speaking of new beers,
Okay.
you got your next one up, actually.
Yes.
Is that Harbor Bridge next?
Harbor Bridge is our brand new beer. You're the first person outside of like the people who work here to taste this.
Oh wow.
It's a big deal.
Cool.
So this actually, TJ is our assistant brewer. And he really loves Centennial and wanted to do a single hop Centennial Pale Ale.
Oh, nice.
So in downtown Russell's Point, that's the harbor, and there's an old historic bridge that goes over it. So we named this beer after Harbor Bridge. So that one's not going to get released till later this week. So put it on tap just so you can try it.
And that's one of our beers also that follow a big theme that we have is doing as much local as you can. Almost all of our base grains are bought from Rusty Brew Farm in Marysville, and as many hops as I get from Zachary's Hop Yard in Mechanicsburg. That beer right there is all Matt's grains and all Zachary's is Centennial hops. So we really try to be supporting local as much as we can. That's what I've started a long time ago, and we continue to do that today, and they're big supporters of ours always.
Which is cool, because I know all breweries try to stay local, but some of them go out of state or stuff like that, so it's pretty cool. So it is mostly your hops, I'm assuming, in state Ohio, or sometimes you have to go.
I try to get as much as I can locally. Zachary's grows 4 varieties that I use exclusively, and the majority of my beers. When I can't buy from Ohio, I've got a couple distributors in Indiana and Michigan, which to me that is local. That's our extended local. It's close enough for me. And even if I have to bring in the predominant hops, Mosaic and Citra, which are grown in the Pacific Northwest, I will buy them through my vendors in Michigan or Indiana, because even though they're out, I'm supporting another local company that supports our businesses here in this area. So yes, I use as much as I can locally. You do have to go out of the region and get some stuff at times.
Yeah. I mean, the cool thing about hops right now, they keep evolving. Getting better with, especially I'm starting to learn more about cryo hops and stuff like that. So,
and the Ohio hop industry is growing as well and progressing, and they're trying to do those type of things, and they're doing some new type of hops too, because they've predominantly grown 4 or 5 different varieties here, and a lot of the growers are starting to experiment with some experimental hops, and it's just a matter of us brewers now jumping on board and saying, hey, you guys are growing them, we need to buy them, we need to use them. And that's a big education of trying to get brewers involved in wanting to use the local hops as much as they can.
So what's some interesting hops kind of out of Ohio that people should be really excited about?
A couple of the ones that I don't know that Zachary's has tried it yet, but there's one called Eden Chair, which seems to be gaining a lot of traction from a couple breweries or a couple growers here. I have not tried it yet. I have anticipation of probably giving that one a try this summer. And they just keep adding more. And the thing is, they are also asking us breweries. I've spoke on the to the board and to the meetings with the Ohio Hop Growers Guild, and they ask, what do you want as brewers? So they're asking our opinion because they're growing product for us, so they're doing it right. They're saying, what do you guys want us to do? And it works out good. It's a good give and take between the two.
Because I gotta imagine, like with the high weather, some hops probably will never ever grow here because of just our temperature.
Yeah, and I'm not as involved or knowledgeable enough about to know which ones do and don't grow. That's for Zachary and all the other ones to do that. But they're definitely trying to gain more momentum in that.
So with your 3 systems, have you looked at distro at all?
No. So my husband and I are accountants, and so we really like the math right now with how things work for all of us without distribution. In the summer here at the lake, he's brewing 2 to 3 times a week to keep the taps full. So we really, other than kind of one-off kegs here and there, we really like the tap room model. It kind of fits us, fits what we're trying to accomplish.
And distro is such a scary world out there right now. I don't think
it's tough. Yeah, I think it's tough, and I think there's like a critical volume and that you have to get out there. And so we strategically place kegs. Ron's always done that with Roundhouse, and so we kind of follow that model. We have a couple kegs at Buckeye Pizza at the Lake. I can't remember exactly what they're called. Because that catches some folks on the north side who haven't heard of us yet. So we try to be thoughtful about where we place those kegs and who we partner with. But we're pretty happy keeping it in our tap room and getting people into our space to drink our beer.
I wouldn't mind having you and Troy someday. It's always worth the drive up here, though.
We can talk about that. Yeah, we can. That's strategic. That's perfect.
More beers on tap in Ohio, and Troy will never hurt my feelings.
No, I get that.
So craft beer keeps evolving, and so what are some things you're liking, and what's some stuff that worries you?
I think there's a couple of things that are lingering out there that are, concerning. The escalating costs of product is always concerning for all of us. And we're in smaller towns, so being able to push our prices up, that's always a little bit of a push and pull. So our product costs go up, and we maybe don't feel like we want to pass that along to our customers. And so making that decision about if and when we need to adjust our prices is certainly one. I think the other thing is, you read a lot of articles about people want cocktails and things like that. We made a strategic move at the lake to add to upgrade our liquor license, and we added canned cocktails. And we didn't add mixed drinks because one of our things is very, in terms of kind of our hallmarks is fast customer service, right? So all summer long, this place will be packed doing my hell line out the door. We turn that line about every 4.5 to 5.5 minutes. So even if you're the last person in line, in 5 minutes you'll have beer. Well, I didn't want to make a bunch of cocktails and slow that process down. So we were able to sort of meet our customers where they wanted to be with the canned cocktails, but doing it in a way that married with our customer service. So I feel like that was kind of a response to market changes. I think the very last thing that makes me sort of sleepless is some of the legislation that might be coming down about the minimum wage and the tip credit. And so there's a lot of talk in our industry about how that impacts our costs of our labor, and that's a big deal. So anything that keeps you awake at night after I've spilled all my worries? No, just a few things.
Yeah, I would have to agree. The craft brewery industry is definitely evolving, changing every day. The RTDs or the craft cocktails, like she said, is where it seems everything is headed. I've always been really steadfast that I don't want a liquor license in Roundhouse. I want to brew my beer. I want to brew stuff for people. When we made this decision, the 4 of us, to do with the liquor license up here, it got Kathy and I thinking that, what do we need to do in Bell Fountain to keep up with the times as well? And we're still struggling with that. We don't know. Right. But that is a big thing that's going on now. A lot of the younger generation are going with the RTDs because they're quick, they're fast, they're easy. And that led us into doing them as well. But we've also stayed with our theme of being craft. We want the craft local cocktails. We don't want the mainstream ones that are made and shipped all over the place. We want to try to find ones that are made locally or by smaller
small
craft
breweries.
distributors. And that's what we want to try to. Hey, we are still a craft brewery. We want craft cocktails as well.
We do the New Holland, which is New Holland Brewing, and then we also do one called June Shine, and it was really important to pick ones that had just sort of pure ingredients. So like the June Shine one is our margarita, and it's like 4 ingredients. It's like soda water, lime, tequila, and sea salt or something. Like it's very craft. It's very simple.
Because I think it's interesting because, several years ago, seltzers was that big thing, and they kind of plateaued a little bit. So it'll be interesting what RDs would do.
Yeah.
And seltzers are a big hit for us here.
Okay.
We tried them at Roundhouse a few years ago, just didn't go well, so we nixed them. When we opened up here, that was one of our main focuses. We needed to have seltzers for the summertime.
That was great. That was like a passion project.
Right.
Yeah.
She wanted the seltzers, and I'm pretty much against them. Not just for us,
Right.
But they have gone great here. The way that we've done it up here, and making a plain is the right word, but just a seltzer,
A base seltzer.
a base seltzer, and then we keep 4 different flavors on tap that we can add to them.
They're real fruit flavors too, so it's real fruit infusion. So it's very craft. We don't use like extract or anything like that.
That's good. Yeah, I don't like extract stuff at all.
I've always been against extract in my beer brewing. We use fruit purees for any of our fruit beers, and try to stay away from the extracts. Not that there's anything wrong with it. People do that, and that's fine. I just have felt that I want them to be pure when I put them in there.
Like, I grew up, I was never the big sour fan in my life until I stumbled upon Urban Artifact and something and how they just use everything fresh, and that just, once you start drinking them, it kind of kills everyone else that uses like fake stuff, and it's just, it's amazing how much you can tell now.
You really can if you drink our beers with all the fruit infusions that we use and our seltzers that have that in there. It's completely different than some of the artificial, and you'll know the difference.
Yeah, so you guys do make sours?
No,
not really. We've tried a couple at Roundhouse, but it's not. I don't know that they're all that popular anymore. I mean,
we occasionally have people ask for them, but the demand is not overwhelming.
Right.
So looking at what our customers want. One of our most popular beers is a strawberry blonde called Beatley's, which is for an old hotel that was out on the islands, and it's clear that there's real strawberry puree in it because it's almost like a little pink, and so I think people really enjoy knowing and being able to see that it's real fruit and taste it too.
I know we talked about doom and gloom, but what excites you? What gets you up? Hey, I'm excited to come to work, and hey, with the craft beer and stuff like that.
Yeah, so I mean, particularly here, I think there's a couple of things. One is the growth we've seen in the love for craft beer over the last year and a half since we've been here is really exciting. So to know that we're making an impact and changing the market and changing people's tastes, or even seeing it on an individual customer basis. Somebody who's I'm never going to drink an IPA is I might try that IPA now. So to be able to witness firsthand people's journey with craft beer, right? Because we kind of all went through it at one point. That's been really fun and cool. We're also really focused on the community, so we do a lot of events that are about supporting the community, bringing the community in here. And so, over the last year and a half, we've been able to have a real positive impact on the community in terms of fundraisers and giving back, and just as simple as donating goods. So we really feel in a very short period of time, we've become kind of part of the fabric of the lake, and I think that is what keeps me, going and slinging beers behind the bar on days that maybe I'm a little too tired.
And I'm just passionate about brewing. I have been for many years, and to be able to wake up every day and come into a brewery that I know that I've built and that I'm doing all the brewing for at Roundhouse, and then coming over to the lake and knowing that I was able to extend that and bring Steve and Rebekah into that, and that we have this place that people love to come, and to be at Roundhouse behind the bar and have people come in and say, I just came from your Indian Lake location. Great beers up there. We love the atmosphere up there. It's just so rewarding to feel and see people come in that have been to both locations and how happy they are that we have this place at the lake. And they come to Roundhouse and they tell us that. We're so happy you came to the lake. We love it up there. It's a great place. It's inviting. It's rewarding. They really like what we've done up here.
So it sounds like you need a third one.
I don't know about that. I keep kind of joking about it. I don't think that Kathy is really on board with that, and Rebekah keeps telling me no too. So, and she's a money girl, so I guess okay. They're the accountants, so.
It's a hard no for me, Blake.
I'm just going back. So, what made you decide? Hey, I'm doing this one way. Just make a second one right off the bat.
You were 3 years in.
We were about 3 years in, yeah. And it was just the area up here, and like I said earlier, being told no at multiple places up here that this is not a craft beer area. Nobody drinks craft beer. We're not even going to try it. Just gave me that initiative that I'm going to prove to everybody that people do drink craft beer up here. People do want craft beer up here. And it was a challenge. We were looking for, property, and there's just not any property here. We lucked into what I consider the greatest place we could have ever lucked into. This has been the greatest thing that we could have gotten. And just to see what we have done, and to know that we did prove people wrong. And now all those businesses that told me no, now are like, can we have your beer on tap? We want to be a part of this. And it just continues to grow and evolve, and just makes us more of a part of this community.
Because I think it's just cool, because I grew up in the craft beer scene before I could even drink it, but for the new people to actually start getting into it and you see that light go off, hey, there's more to beer than what I've been drinking. Biggest trend I never thought I would do is lagers. Mm-hmm. Lagers has creeped up into my work, like what I like drinking, and it's amazing how your taste buds eventually change here and there.
Yeah, and I think that lager trend is something that is going on in the industry now. I've been an IPA drinker for a long time, and now that we're making a few lagers, it's a big thing over here at the lake as well. I'm finding myself going out and wanting just a nice, crisp, clean lager because it doesn't have the bitterness of the hops. The alcohol percentage is usually down, and I'm seeing more and more breweries that are coming out and promoting that they're doing lagers and the lighter beers and stuff. So I think maybe everybody's changed. There's always trending. Everything rolls up and down, and this I think is a trend that we're on now, going toward the lagers. I see it all over the place.
I'm a huge fan of blondes now. Like I said, I didn't used to drink blondes, but we make a couple killer ones here. I think our strawberry blonde, our coffee blonde, those are my two go-tos if I'm gonna have beer. So when I find myself out and about, then I find myself I want to try another blonde. You always find yourself trying what you have to benchmark it against someone else, So.
And I'll just say this: lagers are easier to mow the yard with than high IPAs. So.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Some people, we have long days at the lake here. You get on the boat at 10, and you don't get off until 6 or 7. So you gotta be smart. So I think the last one we poured for you is Scarlet. So we made this one during football season for Ohio State. Ron and Kathy are Ohio State fans, and Steve and I are not. But
can I ask what you are?
I'm a Michigan fan.
Oh no!
I grew up in Northwest Ohio, so okay. It's totally okay. But we also, again, meeting our customers where they are. We got a lot of Ohio State fans here. So Scarlet was originally brewed just for football season. It's an Irish red ale, and it is so popular that it has now become kind of a year-round beer. So it's going to be really true to style, maltiness, good flavor, very drinkable, pretty popular beer.
Oh, no, I like that one too.
Yeah, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, this is one of the beers that Steve made over here that we have put on tap at our place. This year when we did, because we've always done an Irish red. This year Steve was going to brew the red. I'm like, why don't you just brew the red and we'll just split it and put it on at both places. and it just came out phenomenal. I mean, it's just so clean and crisp, and everybody loved it at our place. And I mean, I have no intentions of doing the same thing next year if we can make enough and let Steve do it, because I mean, he has perfected that beer, and it's, I mean, you can look at the color and how clean and crisp it is with the little bit of the red tints to it. We've come up with a new grain that we tried that has really pushed that beer over the top. I think it's going to be very, very popular going forward.
It's already popular to me.
I like that. It's a tough one to keep on tap.
So tell me what people should know about Indian Lake or Roundhouse so that people might not know.
Yeah, what they should know about it. Well, I mean, I think that the best way to experience both of them is that you should get an Airbnb for the weekend, come stay at Indian Lake, and you spend a day at Bell Fountain and a day at the lake, and check out both of the breweries. They're very different experiences. There's some similarities, like I don't know how to explain this, but people come in here and they say, they've been to Roundhouse, be like, I kind of get it, I get like a similar feel, but it's also very different. So it's not like you're going to two locations of the same brewery. We purposely branded them different, and they have different feels and different beers. So you can come to Indian Lake, spend the weekend, you can go to two totally different breweries, both owned by us, and get totally two different experiences.
Yeah, and I think what she did there about the two different experiences, that's the reason that we named this Indian Lake Brewing and not Roundhouse at the Lake or Roundhouse 2. We really wanted to identify with Indian Lake. Indian Lake is a resort. If you travel vacation in Ohio, you probably know where Indian Lake is. So when I say,
how many people don't know we're here.
Well, that is true, and that still happens to me.
Yeah, that's the big news, Blake. That's the takeaway. We're here. We got beer.
Come see us.
Come drink it.
Yes, come see us here. We are here. It is Indian Lake Brewing. I mean, there is so much to do here, and we're a part of that.
It is amazing. I work in Columbus, and people are always like, "Where's Indian Lake?" I'm like, Dublin, Marysville, Bell Fountain, Indian Lake.
An hour. It's an hour.
Like an
It's
hour.
a resort.
It's a great day trip too.
Yes, absolutely.
So what are you most proud of so far, being over a little bit over a year?
Well, that's a tough question. I mean, I think what I'm most proud of is sort of the success that we've had over the last year. I mean, I think that when we sat down and we did projections and we looked at what it would look like, because we're accountants, of course, this has been way more successful than we thought it would be. I'm also really proud of the quick impact on the community and how sort of quickly we've become like a big part of the community, because that was super important to us, to not just be here as a business, to become part of the community, and it's been phenomenal.
I'm a brewer at heart. I mean, I am so proud of the beers that we were making up here. We made such a progression now that people are loving all the beers that we have here. As a brewer at heart, this is what I am happy about. I'm so happy that Steve has become the brewer here. I think he would echo those statements. He's happy with the beer that he is making now, and just the beer quality that we have up here is great. We need to come up and try it.
I truly enjoy it here, and thank you guys so much for coming on. It's been a great talk to you guys, and if you haven't been up to Indian Lake or Roundhouse, please come up here. It's very nice, especially in the spring and summer.
There you go. Come enjoy the beer garden.
Yes. Thank you for coming up here and putting this on the map for those people that don't know where Indian Lake is. Now they're going to know.
Right, and that's why I do this. So thank you so much. Cheers.
Cheers.